The Euphrates River holds great importance, whether it's historically or geographically. But climate change, as well as other factors, have been having an adverse effect on the seemingly eternal river. But what if we told you that the river holds many secrets underneath its current, and the chilling secrets are surfacing as it is drying up? Climate change has brought several catastrophes, from droughts to natural disasters, but one defining moment is the drying of the Euphrates River, which is finally reaching a worrying level. It means a great many things, and none of them are good. For one, the Euphrates is the primary water source for three countries: Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. Its drought, apart from affecting thousands of people, means havoc for the surrounding wildlife. But that's not the only reason people are so interested in the river drying up. There are several biblical implications, and many Christians see it as a second coming of Christ. But first, let's discuss the river's origins and its role throughout the years. The Euphrates and Tigris rivers start in the Taurus Mountains, which are part of the Alpine belt in southern Turkey. Both rivers flow from Turkey across the plains of Syria and Iraq before emptying into the Persian Gulf. The river is fed by various lakes and rainfall along its journey, and its basin covers several climate zones, including hot and Mediterranean areas. It's Asia's longest river, flowing for around 1,740 miles before reaching its end. There's also a large difference in the amount of rainfall the upper and lower sections of the river basin experience. The upper section totals up to 3,800 millimeters, while it decreases to just 60 millimeters in the lower end. There's a good reason behind the Euphrates River drying up, and a lot of it has to do with climate change. But first, let's take a look at why it's so important. The Euphrates River's roots lie in Mesopotamia, which means land between rivers. The name is located in modern-day Iraq and refers to the Euphrates and Tigris river systems. The river's bank has been home to numerous civilizations, including the Babylonian Empire. The river was so infamous, particularly in the glory days of Babylon, that it was thought that whoever controlled its water would experience success. And this was especially true at the time, since its water meant ample resources for farmland and feeding a flourishing city. But researchers have now observed that at the rate the Euphrates is drying up, it will soon reach half its current capacity. At the very least, a 30% decrease in the volume of water by 2035 is guaranteed. This is a result of several factors, some of which relate to the three countries that control it today. Turkey, Syria, and Iraq surround the Euphrates River, and all three countries contribute water to the river, though a big part of the river relies on Turkey. Consequently, this river is extremely important for these countries and is used for a number of purposes. A large part of the population surrounding the river depends on it for drinking water, irrigation, and industrial use. This means that they rely on it economically, and as a result, all three nations have decided to use its benefits properly. In the 1960s, they started researching how to harness and use the river water better. In an attempt to utilize the river water fully, each established significant water development projects on the Euphrates. Initially, this was a response to the floods that followed the river's once abundant water and were pretty small. However, soon enough, they started focusing on hydropower projects. Another major development that followed was making the water drinkable. As the population grew, drinking water was in demand more than ever before. And soon, it was high enough that the countries started to compete for the water. Now, to fulfill their needs, Syria and Turkey decided to make dams. These not only helped avoid floods, but also helped the nations during the droughts that always seemed to come and go. These flood mitigation projects were transformed into an irrigation system as the competition heated up even more, and the two countries started developing hydroelectric generating plants. Due to their importance to each nation and their positive impact on the living standards of the general population, especially since they provided drinking water, the demand for building more and more of these projects rose. Later, the three countries signed the Lausanne Treaty to regulate the use of the Euphrates. While this led to the parties involved working together to come to an understanding, it didn't solve the problem of the water level decreasing. If you're finding the story of the Euphrates River interesting, please do pause this video to give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more valuable content. Also, press the notification button to get updated whenever we post a new video. But what terrifying discoveries have come with the Euphrates drying up? Well, part of it has to do with its biblical significance. For one, it was thought to define the Garden of Eden's boundary. It has been described in the book of Genesis as one of the 4 rivers that flow from the garden. Namely, there were the Pishon, Gihon, Tigris, and finally the Euphrates rivers. So you can imagine why it holds great importance for biblical scholars. It was also stated as the limit God gave Abraham when giving him land. The incident is mentioned in the book of Genesis, chapter 15, and it holds importance in both biblical and Hebrew contexts. It was also where Nimrod created the religion of Babylon, which is mentioned in both the book of Genesis and the book of Chronicles. It was also the site of the Tower of Babel, which was erected as an insult to the highest God, according to chapter 11 of the book of Genesis. And finally, the Euphrates is seen as a major sign of the second coming of Christ. The book of Revelations, chapter 16, verse 12 says, quote, "The 6th angel poured out of his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east." Obviously, the river drying up holds significant symbolism for Christians. Its surrounding region is even described to be the site of the world's first murder, and it's mentioned in the story of Adam and Eve's sons when Cain took Abel's life. But how does all this lead to what's hidden under the Euphrates? Well, let's take a look at chapter 9 of the book of Revelation. It mentions that the 6th angel who had the trumpet calls for the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates to be released, after which they will release 200 million horsemen to kill 1/3 of humanity. These avenging angels are said only to take a minute to rise before carrying out their mission. It sounds terrifying, doesn't it? But are there really angels tied to the bottom of the Euphrates? For years, people have claimed to have heard strange sounds from the bottom of the river. And many who believe in the biblical scriptures have claimed that these are the sounds of the 4 angels chained at the bottom waiting for their time to rise. Another interesting theory is the Euphrates Tunnel, thought to have been a pathway 929 meters long built between 2180 and 2160 BCE. While its existence isn't confirmed, it was first mentioned by Greek historian Diodorus as having been constructed and used by Queen Semiramis to travel between the 2 halves of Babylon without having to go over the river. Greek sophist Philostratus also mentioned the tunnel in Life of Apollonius of Tyana as being built by a queen named Medea. Both instances describe it as being used by royals to visit the palaces on either side of the Euphrates in Babylon. As a result, those who consider the biblical references incorrect claim that sounds coming from beneath the river could result from these tunnels instead. Others simply claim that the reports of these sounds are hoaxes and shouldn't be given much credence. But one thing is clear, even if there aren't sounds coming from under the Euphrates, other things will be unearthed. This is because the drying has led to certain tunnels being discovered which are believed to be remnants of ancient Babylon. Several research teams have been sent to the river to discover new ruins as the lowering water levels unveil a complex system of tunnels or tombs buried beneath the water. Many historians hope to find a further glimpse of what life in ancient Babylon was like through these new discoveries. 2 things are for sure though. The Euphrates River drying up isn't a good sign, and there are many secrets the water has kept for years and years, and we might just be uncovering them soon. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. And remember to subscribe to our channel for more valuable content just like this. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Thank you for watching.